Hello guys, and welcome to another game review. Previously I made a joke review of Pikmin that served as a satirical look on YouTube's new terms of service. While I had fun making that video, I had actually wanted to make a real review of Pikmin for a while. So today we're going to take a break from Super Mario 64 ROM hacks, and we're going to check out Pikmin for real this time. Now don't worry, I will still review Super Mario 64 ROM hacks. It's just I played so many that I've started hallucinating. I see Mario running and jumping around whenever I close my eyes. Maybe I should see a therapist. Nah, I'll do that later. Pikmin represents what is probably one of my earliest gaming memories. I remember being about 4 years old when I went to the basement to play my N64 only to find that my brother was playing this game on our brand new GameCube. Let's be real though, what idiot designed this thing? Why an adorable little cube? Why not something like the PS2 and original Xbox? Despite its childish exterior, however, the GameCube didn't fuck around. It had many a good game and was technically very powerful at the time. It wasn't quite as powerful as the Xbox, but still. So you start the game, start a new file, and then it shows a cutscene with the main character driving a spaceship through space when it is struck by an asteroid which sends him plummeting down to an uncharted planet. When he wakes up, he finds out that his ship has been completely fucked up. He then starts logging his thoughts into some sort of electronic journal. Most of the exposition for this game takes place through these journal entries. Anyway, you learn that his name is Captain Olimar and that he was just on vacation in space when it all happened. Also, he says that the planet's air is toxic to him and his suit can only sustain him for 30 days. Well, that's just great. The game's just started and shit is immediately real. So you go over to this weird object that's sticking out of the ground. It bursts out of the ground and sprouts a seed. Olimar refers to the strange object as an onion for the rest of the game. Olimar pulls out the plant to find that it's actually a living creature, which he decides to refer to as a Pikmin. So here's the deal. You use this Pikmin to carry things back to the onion, which makes more Pikmin out of it. When you get more Pikmin, they can do more stuff like carry heavier loads, push massive objects out of the way. Olimar eventually learns that if there are enough Pikmin, they can actually take pieces of his ship back for repairs. He basically concludes that the Pikmin are effectively his only hope of returning home. So that's the game. You play as Captain Olimar and you get these weird creatures to help you in your quest to escape this weird planet. In spite of its weirdness and cutesy design, it's actually pretty damn addicting. I just love how you can just pile Pikmin up on an enemy and just watch them beat the ever-loving shit out of them. So satisfying. Watch this, if you throw a Pikmin directly onto a small one, it crushes it and kills it immediately. Yeah, he ain't getting up. Also, just loading things into the onion and watching like 10 or 20 Pikmin fly out, so rewarding. Also, sometimes when you get a piece of the ship, you can actually see the piece physically appear on it, which is also pretty rewarding. As you progress through the game, you start to learn more and more about these Pikmin. You learn that there are different kinds of Pikmin, like this yellow one. What makes them so special? Well, get this. They can carry bombs. Yeah, bombs. No good game is complete without explosions, right? Then you have the blue Pikmin who can survive underwater, which is also pretty useful. But still though, bombs. How can you top bombs? And just to clarify, when I say that, that's not an attempt to justify terrorism. The red Pikmin have their own advantages too. They have the highest attack power and they won't die in fire. So that's how the game works. You look at the situation and you decide which Pikmin will be the best for the job. Some of you may be wondering why you wouldn't just make hundreds and hundreds of Pikmin and just storm the entire level. Well, you can only have a maximum of 100 on the field at the same time, so you have to be smart and think about how you're going to approach the situation. So despite its cartoony aesthetic and its obvious appeal to younger audiences, the game does require a certain amount of lateral thinking and is not subject to monotony or mindlessness. You will often be faced with puzzle elements. For the most part, it's not too difficult to figure out, but you still have to think. But while we're on the topic of difficulty, I should probably mention that the game can be very punishing at times if you're not careful. See that? I just lost more than 50 Pikmin at once because a daddy long-legged spider just dropped from the sky. That's the kind of shit you gotta watch out for. Also, these guys shoot boulders, which can crush and kill your Pikmin instantly if you let them. But for the most part, the difficulty is pretty balanced and it gets reasonably harder as you progress. Now that's all for the gameplay. I'm sure you all know what's next, the graphics. Now obviously the game's 15 years old, so these graphics are definitely outdated. But for 2001, this was stunning. Now let me give you a little perspective. Before I played this game, the best looking game I had ever seen was Banjo-Tooie on the N64. Now Banjo-Tooie has incredible graphics for N64 standards, but when I saw this for the first time, I almost shit myself. I thought it was real. I should have known better. But yes, they were amazing. Everything from the textures, the models, the visual effects, the water, the sheer number of moving objects on the screen at once, and all at a stable frame rate. For a launch title, this really was a testament to the GameCube's capabilities. By the way, fun fact, the original purpose of Pikmin was actually to test out the GameCube's capabilities. So in a way, it's basically just the world's most fun tech demo. Of course, to call this game a tech demo might be somewhat belittling, so I just want to clarify that I mean it in a good way. Anyway, bottom line, the graphics are great, every level is distinct from one another, the atmosphere is spot on, and it just feels so vivid and lively. Now you may be wondering how the game fares in the sound department. Well, I should probably mention that I am playing this on an emulator, so a number of sound effects may be missing or corrupt and they don't work properly, but aside from that, they're pretty good. The game uses a mix of realistic sound effects and more cartoony slapstick kind of sound effects, but they all seem to fit the corresponding action or event pretty well. I especially love the sound of the Pikmin just flying out of the onion and raining all over the ground. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. The music is pretty good too. Each level has its own theme and they all perfectly represent the level's atmosphere. Also, remember how earlier I brought up Banjo-Tooie? Well, one of the great things I love about Banjo is how the music changes to suit the environment or situation. Well, Pikmin does a similar thing where the song will actually add percussive instruments to the mix when you're fighting an enemy. It's pretty neat. Well, I hope that answers any questions about the quality of the music department. So gameplay is great, music is great, graphics are great. Well, what isn't great? Well, first of all, this game is way too short. If you've played through the game once already, you'll be able to beat it within 4 or 5 hours if you were to play it again. And even on your first playthrough, it isn't that long. If you're playing it for the first time, you could probably beat it in like 2 or 3 days. However, if you are somehow unable to beat it in such a time, then you may actually reach 30 in-game days. Now, if you actually get to 30 days and you don't have enough ship pieces, what happens is Olimar tries and fails to lift off and your file is fucked, which forces you to start a new game, which is a bit dumb. But it adds a bit more difficulty to a game that's otherwise a bit too easy, so it's bittersweet. Another stupid thing is that every time a day ends, you have to watch this cutscene where Olimar sends all the Pikmin back to their onions and then lifts off. It wouldn't be so bad if you could skip it, but unfortunately you don't have that luxury. You gotta watch it every time. But overall, what we have here is a brilliant game. We have a game with nice graphics, great atmosphere and music, and great gameplay. This game truly is a testament to the GameCube's capabilities and a definitive game for the system. Now you may be wondering what you do when you make a game like this. Well, obviously you make a sequel, right? Well, sure enough, there is a Pikmin 2. But that's for another day. Well, that's technically the end of the video right there, but I just want to talk to you guys for a quick second. Now, you don't need me to tell you that I haven't been uploading nearly as frequently as I was a few weeks back. Now, I said in my thank you video that I would try to get back on track, and I just want to mention that I'm still trying. Now, this video is way overdue. It's been in the works for more than 2 weeks, and I just made the decision to man up and finish it. I apologize that it's so late, but I will keep trying to do my best to keep making videos and keep you entertained. Well, I assume you guys find these entertaining, otherwise you wouldn't be watching, right? Well, whatever. Also, I mentioned earlier in the video that I will probably try to keep doing Super Mario 64 ROM hack reviews, and I am still fully committed to those. If you guys have any of those in mind, by all means tell me, and I'll probably end up reviewing it. Anyway, that's all I want to say right now. I just want to thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to let me know. Leave a comment, maybe a like. And if you're not already a subscriber, feel free to subscribe. It won't take much of your time. And all that aside, this has been another game review by Phantom Bane. Have a good day, everyone.